As March went on and into April, like things have just like taken off. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, our ad spend, our return on ad spend has quadrupled. Subscriptions have gone through the roof. Average order value has really gone up. So we've been very, very fortunate to be on the right side of this right now.
Yeah, Adam, welcome back. Great to speak to you again, man. I'm excited to hear everything that's been happening with your brand. Obviously, we interviewed you, well, at least like a year or so ago because you were one of our successful students of one of our courses and Start and Scale. So yeah, welcome back, man.
Thanks. Good to be back. Yeah, I think it was, mid 2018 or so. It seems like a lifetime ago, but yeah, great to be back. Good to chat again.
Yeah. So for context for everyone listening, the first question I ask everyone that comes on is, how did you get your job?
How did I get my job? I got my job by having a crazy idea in the shower. So, I mean, long story short, how Ballsy kind of started was I was literally in the shower, had one of the shower aha moments, and I was looking at all the different products my wife had for personal care. She really had like different products for every area of her body. And I just kind of felt like, hey, like guys, we have face wash, body wash, like we have all these 5-in-1s, 4-in-1s, like all of these just like not great products or products not for specific needs. And that's when like the idea of ball wash kind of like jumped in my head. Google search later, and I was like, off to the races with this idea. Happy to dive into it, but I'll stop there for the moment.
Love it, man. So, look, you've done exceptionally well. So for anyone that needs context, we can go back and listen to Adam's first interview around kind of the background, a little bit of background of the company, how it all started, stuff like that. And I'll link to the show at the start of this. But I'm curious kind of where are we at now, man? Like tell us, like, because your PR team like pitched us and, like the guy said to me, hey, like Adam's got a PR team like working for him. He's doing press. He's like, do you want to interview him? I said, yeah, of course. Like, I'd love to see what he's up to. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think back to, mid 2018, I was still working on Ballsy part-time, right? I was still working a full-time job at Google, working Ballsy, at nights and weekends and, getting that validation and traction really cracking. And then fast forward a little bit, basically put my notice in at Google December of 2018, went full-time in January. Yep. And then, really hit the ground running full-time. I brought on my partner, Brock, who was also working on this part-time. Now he's a full-time member, so we're starting to expand the team. I've got two other great partners, one that helps with our cooking the books, because that's the last thing I want to do is making sure that like the numbers are correct. And he's been great about that. And then another person that helps with creative, whose name is Cisco. And then we've got a couple part-time team members that help with customer support. So, the team has really grown. Sales have grown. The product line has grown. I think when we talked last, we only had 3 products. I think we're up to, depending on how you want to count it, over 10. I mean, there's a lot to dive into there. I don't know what's, specifically you is the most helpful, but definitely things have changed. We've grown up, a lot as a company. I guess we've got a PR team now.
That's awesome.
That's funny that they reached out to you. I didn't know how that happened. That's great. So they're doing their job.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's a crazy time right now. I'd love to just kind of speak to the current now. Like, how is the business going? Have you guys been affected?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll preface this by saying I just feel incredibly fortunate because we've been affected, but in a good way. Our sales have really just gone through the roof. And I did not expect that at all. I mean, when this started coming out in February, I had to place inventory orders for the future. And it was like one of these very, scary moments of like, all right, well, managing cash flow versus like foreseeing the future of what's going to happen. Obviously with personal care products, people are going to still take care of themselves, but we're more on the high end, right? Like my fear was somebody going to pay $20 for one of our, ball wash or body wash, or are they going to spend $3 on, a bar of soap, as budgets get tightened? And that's still in the back of my head. But anyways, I placed a PO thinking that we would just stay level. And as March went on and into April, like things have just like taken off. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, our ad spend, our return on ad spend has quadrupled. Subscriptions have gone through the roof. Average order value has really gone up. So we've been very, very fortunate to be on the right side of this right now. And I think, there's probably some reasons that we can dive into about that. But right now, like my biggest concern is just acquiring inventory. Things like bottles and pumps and caps right now are just extremely hard to come by. Like supply chain on those types of items is, months out. And we usually like plan our inventory, a few weeks 6 weeks at a time. Now we're having to look at some things at like 3-4 months. And
Wow.
it's really scary. I mean, we're still bootstrapped. Like, we got to manage cash flow, and like, who knows what's going to happen 3-4 months from now? Are we going to keep getting the sales that we are now? Or is this going to like kind of peter off like once, things change and people get back to work, or, really people start to feel potentially, financial constraints. But, what am I supposed to do? I got to order it now to hope that it's going to continue to sell and hopefully not put us in a bad like financial cash flow.
Yeah.
So right now, that's the name of the game is, figuring out inventory, forecasting, doing our best. I think it's one of those things where I've been extremely happy that we've bootstrapped the company. But, if you had a bunch of VC money behind you, it'd be a lot easier to play inventory a little more, not as worried about what you're going to place the order with and have more cushion.
So tell me, like, let's start with kind of how you're, like, you said that there's some reasons that we can go into around why the growth, what are you doing to accelerate it, and all of that side of things. Let's start with that. And then I'd love to see, like, and hear how you plan to tackle these kind of supply chain issues and what your recommendations are to people in this position right now. Because, yeah, while many businesses have been affected, and, at Foundr, we're doing everything we can to help support them and put out as much content around this stuff. There are many that are doing really well and they've had an adverse effect. So, yeah, I'd love to hear kind of like what are the reasons for you that you'd love to dive into?
Well, I think one thing that we've really seen take off is our subscription products. So like subscriptions have always been pretty steady for us, but like all of a sudden, like we started to see very early on, during kind of when COVID was starting to pop up, like people were more gravitating towards subscriptions, thinking that like it's one thing less that they have to go worry about getting at the store. They can stock up, like it's just going to keep coming. And so once we saw that, we really leaned into that. Like we've been sending a lot more email promotion around subscriptions. And we've just been kind of promoting that more as like an option that people should go with. And like our subscription business in general has just really seen, a huge uptick from that. And the other piece we've done is like a stock and save. Right. So like we're taking a bunch of different products, and instead of buying, one, ball wash or one of our shampoo conditioner, like you can buy like 3 of each thing together, and then we're giving them a big discount for doing so. So obviously we saw a lot of people wanting to stock up, obviously toilet paper or whatnot, but like there's definitely this stock up mindset, and we didn't want to miss that. So we figured we'd reward people for, placing that order now and giving them a big discount. So like those 2 things I think alone had really helped. And then, the last one is we try and engage a lot with our community and, our customers. We've got the, a Facebook group of, our Ballsy customers, and we just like keep these relationships, open, and communication and dialogue throughout all of this. And I think they know that like they can trust us to get the products that they're ordering. They know who we are. Like we're not some like faceless brands, and like that, like personal touch that we've kind of developed over the years is really, I think, come to help here.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting. So how have you added your customers to a Facebook group, and how often do you engage, and what kind of content are you producing for them?
Yeah, so it's a few days. So it's a Klaviyo like automatic flow, it's like an automation. A few days after a customer places an order, we basically follow up with, hey, like we'd love to, keep the conversation growing. Join our Facebook group for exclusive offers. So we give discounts and promotions to those customers. Exclusive early access. So we actually have a hand sanitizer coming out in a couple of weeks, which I'm super stoked about.
Wow.
I got to show it to you. So like. It's
Oh, how
it's called
cool.
Yeah, it's called the Plague Slayer. So really pumped about this. So we gave them early access to sign up to make sure like they got some first. So we have all these benefits of joining the Facebook group, a link. So a lot of that, initial, I guess, Facebook group people signing up is from that automated Klaviyo flow. And then
Yeah.
once they get in there, I try and post contests and, fun things, once a week. I mean, sometimes I'm, on it, sometimes, it falls off, unfortunately. But like last week, we've got some like custom ballsy pillows. And so I put up leave a comment of, well, one of the contests was you're lounging around the house. Hopefully this will make it a little more comfortable, but leave a comment with what is the first thing you're going to do once you can get out. So it was really cool because we had all these inspiring messages from like, we're getting married to like, I'm going to see my family. And it was just really cool to like get the group like talking about like something positive. So we do things like that, or, post sneak peeks of new products before they come out. And it's been fun.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. So you're really fostering your community, and from there you can test ideas. You can do all sorts of things.
Yeah, we do polls on like, hey, what would you guys like to see next? Which product, or what scent is your favorite, or what product is the one that you couldn't live without? So we get a lot of fun and interaction around polls and some market feedback pretty quickly in there, which has been invaluable for sure.
Yeah, wow, that's super smart. And in terms of customer acquisition, what are your top channels? I know when we last spoke, you're doing quite well on Facebook. Is that still a really strong channel for you? Where have you diversified out? Like, what do you? Yeah.
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram still are our primary driver. And luckily, like I said, our ROAS on both of those channels have really gone up. I mean, I haven't seen as good of like return on ad spend since like we launched the company. It's been really good. So those are the two primary drivers. We've also done a little bit of testing in like long tail podcasts.
Oh.
So I know a lot of brands are starting to do podcast advertising, but we're like more going after like the smaller, long tail podcasts. And that's done pretty well. We use a platform called Podcorn. How
do you spell that? Sorry.
Yeah, POD corn, CO. It's kind of like popcorn.
Yeah.
So I was before, Ballsy and everything, I was at a company called FameBit, which did this for YouTube, YouTube influencers that's at, the long tail.
Yes.
And since then, that founder has gone on to start Podcorn. So now doing it for podcasting. So really cool service. We've been using them to do some advertising as well, and seen some really good results there. And
really?
then, yeah. So it's interesting. So there's two different ways. So they have a self-service marketplace where you can say like, hey, I'm a brand. Here's who I am. Here's my budget. And here's kind of what I'm looking for. And then you get podcasters submitting you proposals. Say like, all right, for $50, like here's my audience. Here's how many people. Here's like it'll be a pre-roll ad, which is at the beginning of the podcast, whatever. And then you can choose. So you get a bunch of submissions and you can choose. Or, if you've got a slightly higher budget, you basically have somebody on the Podcorn team where you tell them what you want and then they deliver you a list, and then you can kind of go through the list, but they manage it more for you.
And what kind of CPMs are you dealing with?
I can't remember what their most recent CPM is. I think it's like $10. So it's not, it's not super cheap. It's not super expensive. It really depends. And especially on the self-service model, you can say like, hey, like I'll pay you $50 per like read. And like you get some stuff all over the board. You get some larger podcasts that have never advertised before, and you get some guys that overvalue, undervalue. So it's really up to you to kind of go in there and, poke around.
Yeah, I see. Would you recommend to people as an alternative channel though?
I would. I think, with all new channels, right? Like you got to test, right? And I think what's cool about what they're doing is you can test at a pretty small budget.
Yeah.
For us, we did on our first managed campaign, we did 5K, which, is I guess not it's a medium amount of budget, but you can go on there for $500, right? And hire a bunch of different ones. But what I'll say is, when we did the 5K campaign, we did a bunch of different types of podcasts, right? Like we wanted to test just different kinds of things like humor, sports. And the one that came out that I wouldn't have expected was true crime. like true crime podcast for us, like just killed it.
Really?
And I think it's because it has a female audience. And when we were running them, it was around Valentine's Day. And like, it was a good gift moment for a female audience. So what I was going to say is like, try and test, whatever your budget is, try and test a bunch of different podcasts, because you just never know. And, hearkening back to when we first launched the company, and, I think we covered this in the first episode, but if somebody hadn't heard it, when I launched our first Facebook ads, a bunch of different ad sets set up, and, maybe I didn't think it through this well enough, but like I was all targeting guys. Like I'm like, guys are going to buy the product. Like this is a guy's product. And it was all different types of guy audiences. And we had one female audience, and that one female audience was the one that just like went off.
Yeah.
And it's like, that one ad set just really changed the trajectory of the business. And, luckily, like I found that out like really, early on when we first launched. But, again, like you got to really think through these things, try some different things, test it out, because, you never know. It's sometimes the one that you overlook. That's the one that's the winner.
Sometimes you think and put yourself in the mind of your customer because you think your customer is you.
Yeah.
And it's like a really, really like kind of amateur kind of move to make, because it might not be, you might not think like your customer. So yeah, no, that's a really good realization to have. So I've got to dive deeper on this, because this sounds awesome. Like we might even try them for Foundr. Like we've never done anything like this. How many podcasts did you work with for $5,000? Like a rough estimate.
Yeah, I would say we did 30 to like 40.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, they're all, long tail. I mean, they're smaller podcasts that have like, pretty niche audience. I think it's going to be proven out over time. But I think, again, like right when YouTube influencers launched and Instagram influencers launched, it's the ones that have like the tight knit community of like a few thousand people that like seem to convert more. Right? Like it's always sexy to go after like the bigger YouTuber and like the big numbers, but like for us, and we're not everyone, of course, results may vary. Like they just haven't worked well for us. And I've always been gun shy to like really spend a lot on that. So we go after a long tail, and for us, it's worked pretty well. Yeah,
that's super smart. So, obviously you said you got a really good ROAS. You don't have to talk about that, but I'm curious, what kind of CTAs, like do you have a coupon code, and what do you recommend, mid-roll and pre-roll, or just one, or what have you found?
So CTA, that's always a coupon code. I think that's the best way, and honestly, like one of the only ways to really kind of track that. Obviously, you could put a link in the show notes, but I mean, geez, I just don't know how many people really click the links in the show notes that much. I know, again, like maybe being amateur move, like that's just never anything I've done, so I assume that many people won't also do that. So I think coupon code is great. And then when you're also running them, I think it's just important to look at overall lift. Right? Like, are you also seeing a spike? Because not everyone's going to get caught in either, the link in the notes or the coupon code. But if everything's kind of steady, and we try and run like a steady state on everything else when we're testing something different, over like a, 2-week time span or a 1-week time span. And that way we can say, all right, we can reasonably attribute this lift to like this new thing that we're running. And again, like it's not as easy as tracking when you're, doing Facebook ads or, email marketing. It's very like, attributable, but that's kind of the way that we've done it. In terms of, pre-roll, mid-roll, I don't know. I don't think there's like a one size fits all answer. I've had people tell me that mid-roll is better than pre-roll. Pre-roll, I like to get up from the front, but a lot of people skip the first like minute of a podcast, because they've already like, become kind of preconditioned to like, all right, there's going to be some ads, I better skip this. Mid-roll, they're engaged and they kind of listen through more. I don't know. So I can't say, with certainty on either one, but I can see both sides.
So you did, for all of them, did you do both?
Yeah, we locked it up to the podcaster.
Got you.
And then the one thing that we did do is we did, I believe most of those podcasts did 3 reads.
Yep.
Over the course of, 3 episodes. I think anytime you're doing 1 read on 1 episode, or, one shout out on one thing. It's just hard. Like you really got to get, especially now, I think customers and consumers are just like, they're more apt to like just blind out over that stuff. Like back in the day, like it was like, ooh, what's this new YouTuber like talking about? Like, cool. But
Yeah.
now everyone's like hawking stuff, right? Everyone's talking
Yeah.
about stuff. So you really got to be like there a couple times before the customer or consumer is like, they trust that like this isn't just a one-off paid thing that you just are hawking because you're getting paid, right?
Mm.
At least that's the way that I look at it is, get a few consistent posts from that same person to make it feel like it's, they're actually really, they're bought in more than one pay for post.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's really cool. Thanks for sharing, man. So, what else is working? So you said, Facebook ads. Are you scaling up?
If we had the inventory, I would. Right now, like we actually just had to turn off all of our inventory. I mean, we're actually moving fulfillment warehouses, and we had a little snafu with the inventory count, and we had oversold about 1,800 orders.
Oh,
Yeah. So this week has not been, the smoothest of all weeks. There's no simple changes in anything. It's like, oh, this is going to go easy. I don't know. It's never gone easy for me. But so we're figuring that out. So we've turned off all the ads, and we're trying to get caught up on those customer orders. I think the one thing I'll note there is we've had plenty of, I won't say plenty because that sounds ridiculous, but like several times in the business where like things happen, right? Like we had a distribution center in the middle of winter lose power for a couple of days, like a USPS, like distribution center. And we lost hundreds of orders, right? Like they just stopped getting scanned, and we had no idea what happened. So we get all these customers emailing us being like, where's my order? Christmas is coming. So we just started sending out, I want to say we sent out like another 650 orders. And then all of a sudden these orders start popping up, and we found out like the USPS like center got back online, like did a really poor job of communicating what happened. So we double sent everything. So there's been things like that, like, running out of inventory, like things going missing. And the one thing that has never failed us, and it seems so simple, is just being proactive. Like we pull a list of everyone that was affected. I emailed them, I put my personal email on it. Like I'm the founder. Directly, here's a 30% off coupon code. If we, and in some instances we refund their shipping, like, and we've always done that. And it's as obvious as that seems to me, like I've got two brands in the back of my mind that I won't name that I've ordered stuff from that I'm still waiting on, and I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. And it's just like, I know right now things are crazy, right, with COVID, and even just once you get it to the USPS or FedEx, it's taking longer. But just over communicate. Like I can't tell, like out of all the emails, so I sent out, it was like 600. I got probably 50 responses. I'd say 45 of those were like, thank you so much for letting me know. Really appreciate it. Stay safe, guys. No worries. And like, to me, like those are going to be customers long-term, or at least I hope they are.
Of course.
And then, you get 3 that are just irate, and you just got to deal with them and maybe refund a little bit more. And then, 2 like are in the middle. Right. Yeah. But I think it's scary. I still get scared when I'm like, oh my, I'm going to send out an email to hundreds of people that are going to potentially be mad. They have my email, but I think most people just want to know that like they haven't been forgotten, or they're not getting scammed, or, something, they've lost their money, and I think there's so many Instagram brands, and everyone's been burnt now once, right? They've ordered something from a company that they thought was shipping from the US. It's drop shipping. It's taking forever. And now people, they're gun shy, they really are. Jaded. Yeah, they are. So I think it's the brands that take the extra time to like put themselves out there, and not are afraid to do that are, gonna do more, do better in the long run.
Yeah, no, that's a really good takeaway. So, look, in many ways, this is a quality problem to have, but what are you doing on the supply chain side? How are you like stocking up? Like, let's talk about that. What do you plan to do there, man? Because this is a challenge some people will face and are facing.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had some, magical answer for you, but what we're trying to do is, we're calling every supplier that we could possibly find. Like our manufacturer is doing a very good job, like calling in favors, resources, things like that. Something that we have done is I've paid like a bonus to people to get my stuff in first. Like,
yeah. Wow.
Like I just paid, like I don't want to put the figure on it, but like I just paid a company to get our tubes for one of our products moved up 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because
wow.
like we need it. So like, if you can, like money talks, and I think this is also a time where like having good relationships and like not just having somebody that supplies your stuff, but like a relationship with that person where like they feel like they're part of your business. If that's possible, that's very important to do. Like we look at all of our suppliers as like partners, not just like, hey, here's my bottle order, send me bottles. Like we've developed this over time, and that takes time. And then the last one that we're trying to do is just look at other options. Like, our 16-ounce Boston Round Black bottle. Like if we can't get that, but we can get another 16-ounce bottle that's, dark amber or a different shape slightly. Like you got to roll with the punches. And like this, like it sucks because you spend so much time like getting the product the way you want it. And even this is more important, but like we have this sack pack, right? It's got an insert which perfectly fits our 3 products, but the one bottle like could be out for a couple months. So what do we do? Like, do I just say, I'm not going to wait, I'm going to wait, or am I going to get a different bottle, not put it in that box, apologize to customers and, move on. And that's what we're going to do. So you kind of got to just roll with the punches, and, sometimes it's not ideal, but we're doing whatever we can. Like I'd rather, get the products in people's hands. And again, I think right now, most people are just happy that they're getting the products they are, and they're understanding, everyone's dealing with something right now. So those are kind of the 3 ways we're trying to combat it. And what I'm really worried about is just Christmas, right? Like some of these things, like I'm starting to hear I need to like place Christmas PO, like for components, like in July. And man, trying to forecast what the world's going to look like then. And we always ramp like 10x for holidays. Like it's just a huge part in our business. I am terrified. Like, what are we going to do? So that one I'm currently losing sleep over. I don't have any answers for that, but trying to just do what we can. Right. What I'm thinking is, what I'm trying to do is this. I'm trying to negotiate to where I could pay a deposit, like a smaller deposit on those components.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Like not paying the full amount up front if I'm going to do it this far out. Like maybe it's half of what that is. So that's what I'm working on now, and I'm trying not to panic right now. Just putting out the immediate fires of, this couple of weeks and switching fulfillments and whatnot, but we'll get there.
Luckily, one step at a time.
Yeah. I mean, luckily it's only April, end of April right now, but it's stressful for sure.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have. Well. I hate, I feel like I hate complaining about this type of stuff, and I'm not complaining. It's just like, it's the best problem in the world to have. And, anyone that has these types of problems that's a great problem. And I hope everyone, can, doesn't run into these issues, but not complaining at all about it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's part of it. You got to roll with all the punches. You never know what's going to happen next. That's for sure.
Yeah, 110%. So, look, I'm curious as well. You said, so we talked about Facebook ads, which led us to you've kind of turned them off because you've got some supply chain issues, which, is totally understandable, totally normal in this current climate. So I'm curious around kind of Instagram and organic. What are you doing there? Like, I assume you're not sending to influencers anymore, but I'm going to assume you were. What did that look like?
Yeah, so we've pretty much, at least for this week, and I'm really hoping by, in a few days we'll be able to turn things back on, but like we've turned off Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, our email marketing. Like we have emails scheduled and that aren't going out. So like we're like full faucet. Like I really don't want to drive people to a bad experience. If we gotta, like, to me, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. Like let's just full stop it, get our stuff together, and like come back. Hopefully in a week or so, like with our stuff in order. As far as influencers go, we've got a decent amount of just ongoing influencer relationships, and those are the ones like I was kind of talking about before, like people that just post for us every month. They're continuing to kind of do what they are. Like we're on a monthly retainer with them, so they're just going to do what they're just going to do what they're going to do. And unfortunately some stuff is sold out, but it's just a pain to like email all those people and tell them not to. And it really hasn't. We have some things on the store, right? But I'm not going to like pay more to like get people to a half full store. Yeah. So we're kind of letting that ride right now, but everything that we can control pretty quickly and easily, turn on, turn off, like we're doing that.
Yeah, got you. And tell me about like influencers on retainer. How come you're doing that? Like, how come you're just not paying them one off versus having people as kind of long-term ambassadors, or why is that?
It goes back to what I was saying earlier of like influencers posting several times, like their audience being like, man, like XYZ influencer really does like Ballsy, like they use it all the time. And like on the third month, the guy, the person watching this might be like, all right, like they're still talking about this, I might give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
And it just feels more authentic and like better for our brand for some reason. And like again, we work with like long tail influencers. We work with a lot of athletes, people in MMA, and while they're also doing, trying to drive sales, like we just get a lot of cool content from them that we can repurpose. And I don't know, I look to like a lot of our influencer relationships, or the people that we've kind of stuck on with have been people that have came to us and just said, hey, like, I love what you guys are doing. How can I get involved? And those are the people that we've just like got on a retainer. We're like, great, like this is what we can do, and every month you'll get this, and this is what we expect. And again, we have a small team, right? And I think influencer marketing is one of those things, if you're going to do it well, it takes a lot of effort of managing, making sure people are posting, saying the right thing. They've got the updated coupon codes. Like, are they doing, like, positioning it the right way? So for us, I always thought, like, if people came to us, they showed interest, like one, like they've kind of already cleared this hurdle of like, they knew who we are. They're kind of into it. We'll gauge how into it they are. We'll send them the products if they really like it. Cool, we'll move on. And then we kind of set it and forget it. Like we let them do their thing, and they're kind of off to the races. And we have one guy that helps manage some of these relationships because he oversees a few of them, which is great. But I guess what I'd say is, I think doing influencer marketing correctly takes a lot of effort. Like it's a human business, right? Like you got there's a human component to it. Like, and like when I send you a product, like maybe, you got sick that week and then you didn't post it. And then the next week goes by and you forget about it. And like, then as a brand, I got to email you and say, hey, Nathan, my post, what happened? Oh, I forgot, or my camera broke, or I've heard every excuse in the book. And I'm sure a lot of people have worked with influencers have, and maybe can relate to this. So influencer marketing is not, or has not been, like a huge piece of our business. It's more been this organic thing that we've kind of like harnessed and then built relationships with those people and let them kind of continue to go and grow.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But the key part there that you mentioned in passing is the content.
Yeah. And I think that, I'm glad you called that out. I mean, I think earlier on, I looked at influencer marketing as more of like a direct ROI play. Yeah. I think that's great. And obviously everyone wants ROI. Like you want their return on investment. You want to know every dollar you put in, like, you expect something back out. But I look at it now as well, I think probably more so as like the content that you get back, right? Like, and the content being like what you can also, repurpose. Like, so again, we work with a lot of these fighters and MMA guys, and they take these awesome photos in their gym wearing like ballsy trunks. And like that to me, even if it doesn't drive any sales, like just makes the brand like look cool and big. And like, we repurpose that stuff in emails, and like we repost it on our Instagram. So just like good quality content. And the way that I look at it as well is like if we were going to hire a photographer to like go create content, which we do from time to time, like that all costs money as well. So you kind of got to look at the influencer as like not only driving sales, like a sales channel, but also like driving or creating content. Like they are content creators at the end of the day.
Yeah, 110%. Because you will find probably, I'm going to assume, that some of your best converting creative or your best bottom of funnel retargeting stuff is influencer created content, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's like that UGC, like user generated style, like little videos or photos that really do seem to resonate. We've definitely seen that with all of our ads on Facebook. Repurposing that as ads, I think is a great move.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So look, we have to work towards wrapping up, man. I'm mindful of your time as well, and I've got to jump into my next interview soon. But question around kind of product positioning and brand positioning, because when we spoke, you were kind of really focused as a one product company. You were called Ball Wash. Now you've kind of made that slight tweak. You've got this parent now, which is Ballsy, which is genius, by the way. Like, this is a really smart move, because sometimes companies, they start and they brand around the one product, but then they realize that it kind of handicaps them, and you've kind of branched out, and you've got not just Ball Wash, you've got all sorts of other things. So tell us about that evolution. Like you said, you had your shorts and all sorts of things. So tell us about that evolution and how people can work through that, because I think that's really smart what you've done there.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been so basically when we launched, I thought it was just very important to be very diligent about the amount of SKUs that we had. Like we had two SKUs. We had a cologne and we had a wash. Like it was a no-brainer for anyone to show up to our site and be like, I want this, I don't want this. There wasn't a bunch of things to kind of look through. And like we could focus all of our efforts, attention, marketing, content around those two products.
Yeah. And
get those in the hands. So like kind of getting those hero products moving. And for the first, almost 2 years of the business, we only had 3 products. We added like a spray. And I really just wanted to like simplify the product offering. So again, like people come to the site, they know what it is, they know what they want. Like we were focusing on below the belt care. Like, and these are the products for that area. Very simple, right? That said, like as we got traction and people, started to buy it, and then people started to ask about other products, I thought, could this be more than just like, a balls company, right? Can this be like a more substantial men's personal care brand? Will people buy shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, body wipes, all of these other things from us? So we slowly worked towards that. So we spent about a year sampling and, getting new products right, for which we launched at the end of last year. So 2 full years of 3 products, right? Like we didn't rush into this. And I think, early on it was like, oh my gosh, we have all this traction. Like, let's get a bunch of new SKUs out there. Because it's enticing, right? Like you've got sales, like let's get some new stuff out there.
That's but like we want to scale.
Yeah. But for us, like, look, I think our brand is different in the fact that like we've got products called Ball Wash, Sack Spray, Nut Rub. Like our stuff could be viewed as a joke or a gag, right? And there's still people that kind of view it that way, but like we take our products and our brand very seriously. So we knew that like product quality is paramount, right? Like and getting good quality like products is not an easy thing, right? Like we sampled a shampoo and conditioner for 8 or 9 months before we put it out, right? The actual like how good it worked and like the way it smelled and the way that it feels and foams up and like the way it looks. Like there's a million different things that go into each product if you really care about like what you're going to put out. Like I could have took a off the shelf thing and like white labeled it and been like, all right, Ballsy shampoo, right? And we didn't want to do that. And again, I think it goes back to like for our brand, like we don't ever want to be perceived as like a gag, right? And we do get people on our Facebook ads like, hey, I bought this as a joke for my husband. But the best part about that is the follow-up is now it's his favorite product and he absolutely loves this. Like they don't see it coming, right? Like it's this Trojan horse of like, get him with the humor. Like that's our edge, our unique kind of value prop that gets people laughing and commenting on Facebook and sharing. And that always has been. But if the product shows up, and it's less than quality. Like, I don't think we'd be here talking today. Like, we had some really good early traction, and like we've doubled, yearly since then. But I think that comes back to like the product quality. So we were very diligent about like what we did, and that's kind of a long-winded answer for that. But every product we put out, we really care, how well it works and the way it looks, and we've just been slow and steady about it, and it's paid off so far. And I think that's good advice for a decent amount of brands. Definitely not one size fits all, but for us, it's worked pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, man. So in terms of product development, like what does that look like? So if you want to create another product, or you think that there's something somewhere in a vertical or in your vertical, how do you work that out? Do you start with the Facebook group and polls, or do you start with an email survey, or do you look at customer support? Are you still doing customer support and looking at the patterns, because it's all about pattern recognition? Like how's that work?
Yeah, for us, I think, early feedback or early ideas, we've obviously have some ideas of our own, right? And then we're always listening to what customers are saying, through support, through the group. We, from time to time, we'll send out a survey as well, just to kind of gain feedback on the brand and at large, and then what products people will look for. And then when we look at products, we're always, how do we do it differently? How do we, like this product that's done really well for us recently is called Ball Guard, right? It's a lotion that dries as a powder, and a lot of guys use powder on their groin area for sweating and chafing. Yes. So it's like, how do you do that a little differently? Like, well, powder's a mess, right? It's just not fun to deal with, and it's hard to apply. So we worked with our manufacturer to develop this easy to apply lotion that dries as a powder, and like that stuff doesn't happen overnight. So we try and always look at products in the market. Products that people have asked for, and then like how do we do them differently? Even this, the hand sanitizer I was kind of showing you, it's hand sanitizer, but like the brand is different on this one, right? Like the color's really cool. like the nozzle's different. So while hand sanitizer can only have a certain amount of ingredients to be FDA compliant, we could have just put Ballsy hand sanitizer, but it was like, let's call it Plague Slayer. Let's get an artist to draw like this fun thing where he's slaying germs on it, and kind of develop. So we're always looking at ways to kind of do things a little bit differently.
I love that.
And ballsy, if you will.
That's awesome. Yeah, look, it's all about having unique value propositions for each of your products. Changing the dimension if you can. That's awesome, man. So look, last question is, what's exciting for you right now, and where's the best place people can find out more about yourself and Ballsy?
Yeah, so people can reach out to me, adam@ballsybrand.com. The website is ballwash.com or ballsybrand.com. Follow us on Instagram @ballwash. I know it's confusing. Some things are ballwash, some things are ballsy. When you switch your name up,
man.
Like certain things are available or not. So anyways, we'll get there. So hopefully that's fine. But again, you can reach me at adam@ballsybrand if anyone wants to connect. And then, excited about, just getting through, this whole COVID thing, and hopefully, being able to get inventory and continue to expand the product line. I think the other thing that we're really looking at is hopefully when retail opens back up, we have been 95% direct to consumer. I mean, maybe even, higher to date. And in January, we brought on a agency to help us get into retail. And we saw some just immediate excitement around getting into retail. And then all of this happened. So I'm excited to see kind of, one, how does retail come back? Two, how do we fit into it? I think there's, a lot for us to unlock there. But I think a lot to look forward to. And, there always is when you're running a brand, right?
Yeah, no, awesome. Well, look, thank you so much for your time, man. You've been extremely generous with everything that you've shared, and it's so great to see you building this brand. And I feel honored that Foundr can play a very, very small part in helping you in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, congratulations on all your success, and thanks so much for your time, man.
Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate you and the Foundr team. You guys have always been awesome. So thanks.
The Foundr mission is to help you create an ass-kicking business and help you learn straight from the mouths of world-class founders. Get your free printed edition of Foundr magazine featuring Sir Richard Branson. Just cover shipping and handling at foundr.com/Branson.